I'm going to call this meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustments to order. It's 5:59. We're meeting at the Minnesota City Hall and City Council chambers, and we have a quorum. Is there anybody here to speak on anything that's not on the agenda? I guess not. Okay. Item number 3, conduct a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comment and testimony regarding a variance request by Shauna Yulke. The request is to vary from the adopted Article 5 R1A high-density single-dwelling unit 7,000 square foot lot residential district front setback requirements for the construction of carport. The property affected is located at 803 McNair Street in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas 77868, legally described as McNair Block 28, Lot 9. And I'm going to start the public hearing at 6 o'clock.
Madam Chair, Zoning Board of Adjustment, I'm just going to give a brief summary of the request. So on April 17, 2024, staff received a call about a carport being constructed. After investigating, we did realize there was no permits on file. Our building inspector spoke to the property owner on site and just informed them that it was probably an encroachment. They weren't aware of the current regulations, and so I think our inspector informed them about the variance process and how that's an option for situations like this. The property owner, Ms. Yulke, is here tonight. If y'all have any questions about it. They have been very responsive during this whole time in the interim from discovering the carport till now. The requested variance request is for 5 feet, and so that would result in a 20-foot front setback encroachment. One thing to note that's kind of unique to her property is right next door to the north there's an existing barn, and I believe that's built right on the front property line. So although it is encroaching in the front setback, it's not necessarily blocking any sort of visibility because of that existing structure on the north. And like I said, Ms. Yulke is here tonight. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. If y'all have any questions.
Before you come up, I had a conversation with Lupe last week, and I thought maybe you could share that with us. Because I had talked to you about concerns I had about all the lots that are being filled in, and the builders are just putting houses on there, and there's no consideration for a carport. And you said that the city had thought about that, and
yes, so many years ago, well, I shouldn't say many years ago, but some time ago, that was brought up, I believe in a workshop discussion, where it was either planning and zoning or city council considered should we require garages or carports on new construction. And obviously what that would do is at the time of the new house being built, the carport and the garage are already in mind, and so that is also moved back to prevent encroachments like this. However, I want to say at the time the kind of consensus was we're trying to promote affordable construction, having a garage or a carport. Some people may want it, some people don't, and so to allow just kind of the market to decide, it was staff received direction of, hey, we don't want to require it or enforce it. Now, unfortunately, it does cause some situations like this where we have the ordinances on the website, we have some information on there, but I know as a homeowner, before I worked at the city, I had no idea all this even went on. So, we take it on a case-by-case basis, but specifically for carports or garages, they're not required, and so most of the time, it's usually on the homeowner after the fact to figure out where can I put things and what are the rules.
so it's likely we may see more of these as we have more of these lots filled in.
Potentially, yes, and I was actually talking to before the meeting, maybe having some form of workshop or something in the near future, or at least trying to make the information more readily available. I mean, it's on like I said, it's on the website, and I think our permitting portal has a lot of great information, but unless you know that it's there, it doesn't no good.
Okay, Ms. Yulke, did you have anything you wanted to?
Like I said, I don't. Well, I'm just emotional because my mother's dying of lung cancer.
I'm
and
sorry.
She was getting treated with chemo right when I told her I bought the house as a housewarming gift. She wanted to buy that for me. And again, all three of my kids that graduated college, I saved all my money. My whole life I worked 2 full-time jobs and I just put all my money in this house and I wasn't aware of all the restrictions and rules. And, I even got permission from Lupe to extend my fence all the way down to Mr. Neal's property. But my fence person actually did build that and Neal made him tear it down because he can't access his gate because I can't finish building my fence on my property. So he had to re-dig up all the posts and re-dug up all the fencing because Mr. Neal was saying that they're waiting on the city to come and dig him a culvert in a driveway, so I can't finish my fence. I don't know, I'm just one person, I live by myself and I work really hard and I'm just having a lot of trouble understanding what I need to do and what I don't need to do. And I did file the permit the day that we started building and I did pay my $70-something. And I wasn't sure the response back, and then that's the same day the gentleman came from the city saying that I could file a variance. So I had them help me figure out how to fill it out. Came up here, paid my $150, and I just want to fix this, and I just want to enjoy my life. And I just had a new grandbaby, and all my kids are graduating college, and I just want my little dream home. I didn't know all this.
I couldn't remember if you told me, the house was there, right? Okay,
Yes,
So it's existing.
okay,
yeah, she bought the property with the house there.
okay, okay.
Yes,
And the concrete was all for it.
yes.
Okay, so it would be reasonable to assume that, I know if I was there, and of course I'm not the smartest kid on the block for sure, but you see the concrete laid there, you would assume immediately that, hey, perfect place for a carport to put it up, right? Yeah.
It's reasonable.
And who built the house? Wouldn't they have had to get some adjustments pouring that concrete the way they did?
No, driveways and flat work are not considered when it comes to building setbacks. Building setbacks are just for structures, and they can exclude fences too. So it's very specific, just structures themselves.
So the contractor building this didn't necessarily realize that permits were needed as well, or adjustments were needed as well.
Well, I think correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Wilkie, but I think relatives help you put the carport together?
My boss,
Yeah.
the daytime boss, and then
Oh,
our
okay.
guys, they came to help me move all in that day, and then.
No, I just assumed that you had a contractor build it a carport.
This was friends helping.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
something she purchased from Lowe's.
And do we require fence permits to construct fences
Yes.
to begin with?
Mhm.
I used to sell fence a long time ago, and I've had a situation that I sold one and staked it out, and it was there was an encroachment and had to pull it out. That's not a pleasant thing to have to deal with.
Mhm.
And I guess I'm wondering, who is the person that goes out and inspects like that, Lupe?
You mean when someone
Eric?
like to check for things that don't have permits, or to?
Both.
Yeah, so it's a combination. I mean, not even when I've driven around, sometimes I notice something and I'll just shoot a text message to the staff and say, hey, do we have a permit over here, just to make sure. 9 times out of 10, yes, X and X, such and such is working on something. In this situation, I think it was our building inspector that either he was called out or he noticed it, and that's how.
The new one that we have?
No, that's our building official. I think this was Alan that actually spoke with Ms. Ilke.
Well, I think it's a crime that we didn't have a little more application of what we do than to let somebody build a fence and have to tear it up and move it. I think that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, the fence is a separate conversation, but yeah, I mean, the carport, I mean, yeah, I wish, staff would have driven by when the posts were first going up, maybe we could have avoided a little bit of the delay, but,
And it could very well been too, that the situation, I'm assuming here, would have come up with a discussion on building a carport on that pad. It would have me. I'd have probably gone ahead and done it too. So,
Right.
anyway, I just think it's one of those things that I personally would grant them the setback or whatever they need to. Is that carport already built?
Well, we had, the gentleman who did come that day told us to immediately stop, so we never got to finish. In fact, it's gonna look 10 times more lovely than it looks now when it's finished.
So, I mean, is it just the frame that's?
Yeah,
It's
so
just the
that-
frame and like.
That's what you have right there, is that right?
That's it.
Yeah, so that's what's up.
If I may, sir, if you look at it from the,
Podium, please. I should have had her come.
Hey, I like that. If I may, sir, y'all need to make note of that. Which one?
so, while she's correct that there is more to it, it is an open structure with just a solid roof. It has some ornamental metal that'll go around it, but it's open, so in my opinion,
Finished.
it's pretty, from that angle, it's pretty much finished. A third of the roof isn't on it, you can't tell from that angle, the side that you can't see. So that's the majority of what needs to be completed, but it is open, so I know some of the concern was about blocking lines of sight. The most of it is open, you can see through the majority of it there. And then, just while I'm up here, and I have your time, if you look at the main photo of it, it is so far back off the street. And I understand that at some point in our grandchildren's future, that might become a 4-lane road and need to be expanded. But it is very far from the actual current road, in my opinion.
What's your
Are you
name?
the contractor? My name's Greg. I'm a friend of Shauna. It's not a contractor, like, we did it as a favor to help her put this thing
And that's okay,
together.
we'll just get the names of
Sure.
people's names.
And, yeah, that's really all I had to say. Thank you.
What was your last name, Greg?
Martin?
Martin. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I've driven by it a couple of times. It's really pretty. The house is pretty. It's a big improvement. It's an asset to the neighborhood. Does anybody else have any questions before we close the public hearing? Okay, so I'll close that at 6:12. And then, okay, consideration and possible action on order number 3-2024, approving a variance request submitted by Shauna Yulke. The request is to vary from the adopted Article 5 R1A high-density single dwelling unit 7,000 square foot residential district front setback requirements for the construction of carport. Mr. Henry?
I make a motion that we approve the setback. I second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Hadley, seconded by Mr. Bond to approve the request. Is there any other discussion? Since there is none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, so the motion carries. Item number 4, consideration and possible action on approving the minutes for April 10th, 2024 as presented. And I move to accept the minutes.
I second.
Okay, the motion, I made a motion, seconded by Mr. Hammy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. And item number 5, we adjourn at 6:13.